It's Darkside Phil's Game of the Year Awards, the best games of 2017. Number 5, The Evil Within 2. Here's another case where you can tell the game developers directly listen to criticism and constructive feedback from the first outing to make the sequel better. The Evil Within 2 took all of the things people said about the first installment and improved upon the game massively. First of all, instead of being completely linear, the game now features open world roaming stages where enemies could be really powerful and you have to find creative ways to maybe sneak up on them to take them out and or try to prevent yourself from being surprised by enemies that jump out in this open world environment. There's also optional content and storylines in the game that you could completely skip, or if you stumble upon them, they're incredibly rewarding, things that really add to the horror of the game. There's improved gunplay, but not too much, meaning they didn't make the game too overly easy or too adaptable to those from the mainstream. The game does still have a difficulty curve, and quite honestly, unlike the first game, there's a few times in this game when I found myself scarce on ammo, and it seemed like it was a little bit more of the classic survival horror vibe that you're looking for, rather than in the first game. I literally always had too much ammo to survive, and it was just felt like I was a walking arsenal. I didn't really feel that way directly in the sequel. The plot line is really good. If anything, I would say maybe the main protagonist, the main antagonist isn't as good, only because it's not as good of a plot line as the first game where you didn't understand what was going on with this stem. In this game, you're in stem, you know what it is, so you can kind of start hypothesizing and putting the things together behind the scenes and figure out exactly what's going on. But there is a lot of psychological horror as well, which is great, and that was another major complaint of the first game. It was too much run and gun action, not enough horror. This game added a lot more horror elements to it. There's even some kind of Easter egg references to the original game in it as well. It's really well done. I really feel that The Evil Within 2 is way better than the first game, and if you played the first game and you kind of felt up saying, man, a little bit disappointed, I think you're going to love the sequel. I hope you'll check it out, because I heard a lot of people actually skipped it. I don't think that's it. You should definitely check it out. It's definitely one of the best games of the year, and a great survival horror outing for sure. What's up, everyone? Phil here in the flesh to give you the rundown on what my number 4 pick in my Game of the Year Awards of 2017 is. I'm doing it this way for a reason, which I'm going to explain in just a moment. But first, let's talk about my number 4 pick, a game that finally, after years and years of sticking to their guns, of being, we have to conform to this certain formula because this is a first-party game, they finally wised up and modernized the franchise for the better. Ladies and gentlemen, my number 4 pick in my Game of the Year Awards for 2017 is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. This is a game that many people picked as their Game of the Year. For me, I really liked it. The fact that so many things were modernized. First of all, the graphics. They were great, whether you played on Wii U or the Switch. They were really outstanding. The draw distance of this open world of Hyrule, having a completely open world formula where you could go anywhere you want from the get-go, was amazing. Seeing these giant, colorful dragons and bosses crawling on volcanoes up in the background, amazing. They did a great job graphically with the game. Gameplay, finally. Weapons that degrade during combat, a loot system where you can find bows and shields and armor and other weapons and a variety of weapons throughout the gaming world that all play differently, a combat system that's been more modernized with dodges and sidesteps and lock-on, and it feels like, basically it finally feels like a modern Zelda. Fast travel, holy crap, has there been a need for fast travel to cut down on the amount of backtracking in Zelda games? They finally did it in this game. Some innovative things that they took risks with, for example, not having traditional style 8 to 12 boss dungeons anymore, but instead having mini dungeons hidden throughout the world that when you completed them gave you upgrade points for Link so that he could have new abilities and or upgrade his character for other reasons. Or give him even rare loot for completing them. The fact there were only 4 major dungeons in the game, and they were very different, transformative dungeons, which has never been done before in Zelda, and then leading to big boss fights. Really cool. I really enjoyed Zelda Breath of the Wild. It did enough unique and original to really, for me, feel like it was a refreshment of the series, and if they could keep up with this kind of refreshment of the series moving forward, I think that a lot more people will be interested in the first-party Nintendo titles, instead of Nintendo saying, well, we're sticking to our guns, and we're just going to adhere to the old-school laws of Nintendo, even though it's very outdated compared to other games out there. They did a really good job of modernizing Zelda with Breath of the Wild, in my opinion. That's why it's the number 4 pick. But why am I talking about the game like this? Why aren't I showing you game footage with voiceovers like I did with all the other games? It's very simple, folks. Even though Nintendo has finally gotten into the mindset that they need to modernize their games for the gaming audience, they have not put into their head the modernized mindset of the modern gamer's culture. Meaning, Nintendo doesn't like Let's Play videos. Nintendo doesn't like live streams of their games. They, for some oddball reason, are one of the few companies that view this as you're stealing their intellectual property rather than we're trying to celebrate Nintendo. I'm doing a top 15 countdown of the best games of the year. If I put a single snippet of Zelda footage into this video, Nintendo would content ID claim this video on YouTube and take all of my revenue away for making it. So all the hard effort and hours of work I put into this countdown, they'd make money on it and I wouldn't. How is that fair? It's insane. You can't even review Nintendo games. You can't talk anything about Nintendo games whatsoever. They claim it all. It's ludicrous. It's such a crazy, archaic way to deal with the internet and internet culture of gamers. It's so outdated and so out of line with what the gamers want and what we've done as a gaming culture in the past 10 to 15 years. Why Nintendo now has realized they need to modernize their games, but they don't realize they need to modernize their cultural way of thinking, I have no idea. Sadly, you know, with Nintendo getting so many spots in my top 15 games this year, I'm celebrating how good they were in 2017, but I can't even put a snippet of footage in here of them because they would basically steal from me. Ridiculous, right? So Zelda Breath of the Wild, number 4, best game of the year for me. I loved it. Sorry I couldn't show you any footage. Until Nintendo wises up, I guess we're just going to have to do it like this from now on. Alright, and now on to number 3. Number 3, Resident Evil 7. Well, Capcom really took a gamble with this one, changing up the formula completely because in recent outings, gamers had been basically of the common opinion that this series had become way too easy, way too watered down, that the action-based third-person combat was not what they wanted, and they wanted a more classic survival horror outing, and taking the franchise into first person was completely different. Well, it paid off, because even though Resident Evil 7 is only around 8 to 10 hours long, depending on how good you are at the game and how much actual exploration and side content you seek to do, the game was great. It had puzzle elements, it had mystery elements, it had horror elements, it had the feeling like you were isolated and alone and you didn't have enough resources to really easily get through the game. You had to be really good and accurate with your shots in a lot of places or else you'd be very low on ammo. It felt tense, it felt interesting, you didn't know what was going on, so you had that psychological horror factor. It was gory, the graphics were quite good, even though some people did complain the graphics could have been slightly better. I thought that they were good enough for a first-person game. And overall, I think Resident Evil 7 was a smashing success. It really put Resident Evil back on the map as a great mainstream survival horror franchise, and it kind of got what people were looking for. Thank goodness that for a change, Capcom finally listened to all the criticisms that they were facing and decided to turn stuff around, because in a lot of other franchises, including Street Fighter and others, they're really not doing that, and they're kind of going by their own thing, and it's not working out. But at least for Resident Evil 7, I could say this game put the franchise back on track. I was very happy and definitely worthy of my top 3 favorite games of the year. Number 2, Sonic Mania. Man, now here's a game I never expected would be in my top 2 of the year before I played it. Sonic Mania does everything that a fan and longtime aficionado of the Sonic franchise is looking for. It has gameplay very similar, graphics very similar to the classic throwback Sonic games of the 1990s era, but puts a modernized twist on it with new checkpoints, with a system that really feels like there's more modern things added into the game, and different gameplay elements from all of the classic Sonic games 1 through 4, and makes it a much better, more improved experience. The music is outstanding in this game, and without spoiling too much for those who haven't played it yet, being able to go back to the classic stages from different Sonic games over the years, but with new modernized challenges, levels, and remixed music is such a retro awesome feeling for those of us who are fans of the franchise. If you played the classic Sonic games, you owe it to yourself to go and play Sonic Mania, especially because the game is cheap. It's an indie style game that only costs around $20, and for a full-fledged 8 to 10 hours of Sonic goodness, if not more, that you're going to get out of this game with the throwback bonus stages, the replayability with an unlockable Knuckles character. There's so much to do. You can even go back and have different bosses and stages by playing as Knuckles. I mean, they did everything right. I don't know how you could possibly do a fan service Sonic game better than they did with Sonic Mania. It's so hilarious because Sonic Mania was so good, and the mainstream 3D Sonic game this year, Sonic Forces, was so bad. It made it pale so badly in comparison to Sonic Mania, which was so much better because it was more of what people were looking for rather than the more modernized crap. We just wanted a throwback to what Sonic was good for back in the day, and we got it with Sonic Mania. An amazing game, a great game, a game that's number 2 of my favorite games of the year countdown. But then what's number 1? Surprise! I'm back, everyone, to announce my Game of the Year pick for 2017. Now you must really know what it is. The cat's out of the bag, because if I have to talk about it in person, you know that means that's right. It's a first-party Nintendo title. Ladies and gentlemen, my pick for Game of the Year 2017, Super Mario Odyssey. Wow. I did not expect a game this good from Nintendo this year. I really didn't. What Nintendo did is they took the old school open world style open platforming gameplay of games like Super Mario 64. They combined it with gameplay from games like Super Mario Galaxy, and they created a whole unique kind of universe with Super Mario Odyssey. Worlds with different kinds of level design and colorful details, really clever puzzles. The fact that now you have a new gameplay mechanic in throwing Mario's hat, being able to take over enemies and completely absorb their gameplay properties. Characters who have stilt legs or could boost off on rockets or jump in lava pools or have a combat abilities chucking hammers like a Hammer Brother. It completely innovates the Mario formula from the ground up. It changes what Mario is, even though it seems to retain a lot of core Mario gameplay mechanics. In fact, a lot of the moves from previous Mario games, like the double jump, the side jump, the super jump, the butt stomp boost jump, the things that have been in Mario from before are all there to be taken advantage of, plus all new mechanics throwing the hat, plus being able to take over all these creatures. Amazing. Big scale boss fights. Amazing. There's so much fun and great stuff in Super Mario Odyssey. The game itself is incredibly long. You know, just a standard playthrough going through doing basic stuff would probably take you anywhere from 10 to 15 hours. If you're looking for all the collectibles in this game, forget about it. You'll be playing it forever trying to collect all of the items, moons, and everything that you can have throughout all the worlds. Never mind trying to collect all the coins and everything so you can actually unlock all of the outfits and everything at the vendors. The game has a tremendous amount of replayability, amazing soundtrack as well, featuring a lot of remix tracks from classic Mario games. Visuals are outstanding. Like, I can't even really, honestly, thinking of Mario Odyssey, I don't know if I can give a negative. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I can think of a single negative. The only one thing that I would say maybe kind of very slightly annoyed me is that Mario looks like he's like a little bit slippery. And what I mean by that is once he gets momentum going, sometimes it's very hard to stop him on a dime and move him in another direction. And it's a little annoying, especially some of the stages you got to be super careful where you're going. And all of a sudden he has too much momentum and he'll run off a ledge like, ah. But the thing is, you can get used to it. And he jumps pretty much instantaneously. So if you're about to die or fall, whoop, do a jump to recover, throw the hat, do a hat jump, use the new game mechanics, save your butt. There's a lot of times in my playthrough where I was able to master the game mechanics and save my butt because I mastered the game mechanics. And man, this game is great for people of lower skill levels who just want to do the base stuff in the game and beat it. For people of higher skill levels who want to do the more challenging levels, get all the collectibles, and beat that final crazy-ass difficult challenge run at the end of the game that's a secret world. Everything about Mario Odyssey is amazing. One of the best, if not the best Mario game I've ever played. And, you know, that's coming from someone who's played them all. You know, I would put, honestly, my top 2 Mario games of all time are probably Super Mario World and Super Mario Odyssey. That's how good Super Mario Odyssey is. It is a system seller. If you don't own a Nintendo Switch, yes, Super Mario Odyssey is the definitive reason in this last year to actually buy a Nintendo Switch because you can't play it anywhere else, all right? It's just a shame that being such an amazing game, I can't actually give the game its due props in this video and show you footage of my playthrough because Nintendo would claim the ad revenue on it because they're so out of touch with gaming culture. Again, it's a shame. Games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey modernized, new things in them, revolutionizing their games for the first time in years, finally getting rid of those old tropes that they're always sticking to and instead going to new ways and new places with their games on the Switch. That's great. But now we just need to put Nintendo into the modern era when it comes to their gaming culture philosophy because that's where they're disconnected. But great year for Nintendo. They had 3 games in the top 15 for me this year. Mario Odyssey in my head my way of thinking stands ahead above all the other games this year. Too good. The best game of 2017, Mario Odyssey. 2 thumbs up from me. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. 2017 was a great gaming year, and I certainly hope that you'll use this countdown as a guide for any games that maybe you missed out on that I mentioned that were good. In the future, be sure to check them out. Thanks a lot for watching my countdown, everyone, and if you want to talk a little bit about my choices, feel free to tweet me at TheyCallMeDSP on Twitter, or to head over to my TheKingOfHate.com forums and posting up about it. Also, if you liked this series, please consider giving this video a like, and also subscribing to my DSP Gaming channel, where you'll see features and series like this in the future, as well as daily archives of my live streaming that I do on a daily basis over on Twitch TV. If you're looking for raw, unedited gameplay of the hottest AAA releases, multiplayer madness fun series, as well as some throwback fun and retro games, this is the place to be. Now, if you'd like to see my live streaming, head over to twitch.tv/DarksidePhil. Live every day, I stream at least 1 to 2 times for several hours. I have a lot of fun interacting with stream chat, and this channel has grown exponentially in the last year. It's the place to be. It's a lot of fun, so come check me out if you get the chance. Thanks a lot for watching this countdown, everyone. I really do appreciate you guys checking it out, and I will see you later. For DSP Gaming, this is Phil signing off. Peace out.